Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is assuring residents in the state that they will not have to foot the bill for Disney's debt. DeSantis spokeswoman Christina Pashar tweeting this, quote, about the Reedy Creek Special District, Disney will pay its fair share of taxes. Floridians, including residents of Orange and Osceola counties, will not be on the hook. Do not fall for another partisan political lie being amplified by the media, end quote. Mainstream media, of course. According to the Wall Street Journal, Disney has also adopted a new strategy concerning politics. Pretty interesting. They'll be keeping their mouths shut. The company, which remains Florida's largest private employer, has issued no statements on the new law that will go into effect in June of 2023. But just last week, officials from Disney's Reedy Creek Improvement District issued a statement saying the state can't proceed with its dissolution plan unless it also covers all outstanding debts to bondholders in the district, including interest payments. John.
All right, let's talk about this with our panel. They are back. Attorney and Republican strategist from Turning Point USA. She's a contributor there. Erin Elmore. Matthew Foldi from the Washington Free Beacon is back with us as well. And so is the founder and the editor-in-chief of Florida Voice News, Brendon Leslie. All right, guys. Florida State Senator Jeff Brandeis told the Washington Post this about Ron DeSantis. This isn't even really about Disney. This is about staying on television. This is about extending the media life of the storyline. This is gold for him. Brandeis, the lone Republican to vote against this bill, is obviously not a huge fan of what DeSantis is trying to do here. But let me ask you this, Erin. Is this not the fight that Ron DeSantis wants? I mean, saying basically, no, Floridians are not going to have to pay for Disney to have this special situation and benefit from its location. It is Disney that should be paying for this.
I think this is a really brilliant strategy, but DeSantis is always full of brilliant strategies. He doesn't read the headlines and then decide what to do. He makes the headlines. That's why he's such a great leader, and he's so bold and he's so brave. But here, this is a win-win situation. You're hitting the big corporations, so the left really doesn't have an argument. Aren't they one of the ones that keep saying, tax corporations more, no tax cuts for corporations? So basically, he has that argument. And let's say that this blows up and he doesn't win. He says, Disney's the big bully trying to hurt Florida and Floridians. So honestly, he's so brilliant here. This is so smart. He's hitting Disney where it hurts, and that's their wallet. Now, all of a sudden, as they said, oh, we just decided conveniently we're not going to talk about politics anymore. Also, to bring up one more thing here, some left-wing media outlets have been talking about First Amendment concerns, and that's complete and utter hogwash. This has nothing to do with restricting their free speech. It's about looking at an old act, the Reedy Creek Act, and realizing, hey, this isn't going to work for us. It has nothing to do with speech. It has to do with paying your fair share of taxes.
Yeah, and Florida has like 1,800 of these special taxing districts. It makes up this little shadow government, and that might be part of DeSantis' strategy as well to expose some of that. Now, we talked about Disney staying out of this officially, not coming out themselves and talking about it, but they are teaming up with 4 other media companies, and they're going to air a public service announcement from GLAAD that features a trans teen. Here's a clip of that.
There are some politicians who are trying to tear my family apart simply because my son is transgender. Trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids.
And of course, that's not anything remotely of like what DeSantis is trying to do, is it, Brandon?
Yeah, honestly, there's no such thing. First of all, there's no such thing as trans kids, transgender, all that. That's not actually a thing. And this really caters to the really extreme minority of the population. Honestly, these kids in that PSA are being used for the political purposes of Disney. Governor Ron DeSantis isn't going after their free speech. He's saying, hey, you're inflicting poison and lies into our community. You are no longer a benefit to us. So you're going to be held accountable, and you're going to pay your fair shares. And as this attack that Disney's saying that the residents are going to pay the taxes, that's just another political lie in order to get the public opinion to change.
The thing about that commercial, too, that I think is interesting, Matthew, is that you've got all the media companies basically coming together to take on DeSantis in this way, when what that mom is talking about is exactly what Ron DeSantis is trying to make sure can happen, that it's the parents that are the leaders on this and not the schools or the corporations that are dictating to the kids and the families what their family situation should be, especially when it comes to an issue like this one.
That's exactly right, because remember, obviously, that is complete projection. The Biden administration is waging a war on parents from the Department of Education to the Department of Justice on down. So it's actually Democrats who are trying to divide families on these issues. And all of Disney's positions on this are completely meaningless when you remember that they filmed their, I think, recent Mulan video
Yes, of course.
right outside within view of Chinese slave labor camps where Muslim Uyghurs are being imprisoned and re-educated to remove their heritage. So the idea that Disney has this moral high ground with which to lecture DeSantis is completely ridiculous. Of course, this is sort of memory hold by the media that is completely on Disney's side.
The other thing that's interesting about this, too, they make it about equal rights here, but we already saw the Supreme Court uphold the Civil Rights Act of 1964, extend that. This is the conservative Supreme Court to LGBTQ issues with Kavanaugh and Gorsuch on that side as well. So again, this is not about equal rights. This is about Democrats picking a fight with Ron DeSantis and him not playing that game. All right.